Hello everyone, welcome to another segment of our Facebook Live Entrepreneurial Tips, brought to you by the Olds Institute. I am joined again today by Mitch Thompson, Executive Director of the OI, and he will be talking today about the business model canvas. So I guess for starters, Mitch, what is the business model canvas? Like just quick rundown.
Sure. Good morning, Ashley, and thanks for hosting. The business model canvas is a tool that entrepreneurs can use to plan out their business, but also to check in and ensure that they're on track. It's one of those great visual tools that can help a business owner articulate their pitch or determine whether or not they are on track, or perhaps explore new methods for reaching their customers. So we'll dive right into it here if you like.
Yeah,
and talk a little bit about the business model canvas and what it can do for an entrepreneur. So the business model canvas is built on 9 building blocks. But what it is it's a customer-centered approach to responding to consumer needs. So as you know, Ashley, nobody ever gets paid unless they do something of value for someone else. So people often start looking at how they can get paid and start juggling expenses and revenues. But they don't always consider what it is that comes first, which is that customer or that need. So in the business model canvas, the first thing that we start talking about is actually the customer. We want our business and entrepreneurs to be considering what the pains are that the consumer is going through, what needs they might have, what their desires are, what they do in their day-to-day. And so the more a business knows about the customer they want to serve, the better they'll be equipped to be able to support that customer and fulfill those needs and serve them in a way that they can't do without. So in any type of business, there may be more than one type of customer, and so we always start by identifying that customer. Are they young? Do they have salt and pepper hair? Do they have a higher income or a lower income? Do they, what's the demographic or statistics around that individual? And then really diving into those pains and gains. What do they do first thing in the morning? How does this product support them? That kind of stuff. And so, again, the more you know about your customer, the better you can identify your value proposition, which is what you do that is unlike any other, or what you do that makes that customer rely on you just so much. When a business opens up and they move into a program of products and services where they're providing a service that anybody can do, they may not have a really great value proposition, right? If they're doing something that is replaceable, they may not be there long term. But if they do something that makes them unique or fill a unique need for the customer, they're going to be better equipped. So value proposition, people often think about being cheaper or faster or more reliable, better quality. But if you really start to look at your products and services and say, okay, now this is the problem, how can I ensure that I'm at the center of that solution? And the more you can do to be at the center of that solution, the more effective as a business person or an entrepreneur you'll be. So we have a customer, they have a need, we understand that need, we understand how that we can support that need, but then there's a number of moving parts. How do we communicate with that individual? Do we do that through social media? Do we do that through other forms of marketing? What are the channels that we use to get our message to that individual, to build a relationship? And what type of relationship are we going to have with that customer? Customer relationships can be surrogate through an agency or a representative. They can be face-to-face. They could be self-serve through a technology or another medium. And so looking at the customer and their needs, understanding how to serve them, looking at how you can communicate through which channels to build the best relationship with your customer is often the first 4 quadrants of a business model canvas. And the better you know that customer and you can do that, the better off you'll be. But then we go a little bit further in business model canvas work. We start to look at the key activities that we're going to undertake to fill the need of the customer. We're going to identify those. We're going to look at what resources we need to identify those to support those needs and list them as well. Then we're going to start to talk about things like key partners. Who are the people that can, or organizations, associations, relationships that we can work with that allow us to better support the customer and their need. And the last components of the business model canvas are all about revenue and expense. The program here is set up to be a one-page document. So you take out a bunch of sticky notes and you put them up on the board and you say, here's my key activities. Here are the resources I'm going to need to look after those activities, to provide value to the customer. Mm-hmm. But then you start to look at it and you say, okay, well, if I have this key activity and it serves a customer need, how often am I doing it? And how does that relate to my expenses? So we start to list the expenses. And so if I am doing a product, providing a product or providing a service, and this is the most valuable thing to my customer, if it's got very little expense, well, I'm probably doing pretty well. If it's got a really high expense, well, I better have a really decent revenue stream. And so the business model canvas is taking the information you know about your customer, the way that you think you're going to build your relationship, the way that you think you're going to communicate, determining what your value proposition is, identifying the key activities that you're going to deliver on or do, what resources you're going to need, who you're going to leverage, what relationships, and then saying, okay, how much of my expense is going to go towards these activities, how much of my revenue is going to come from it. You put this all on a big page, and it clearly shows you what the business is about and how you expect to achieve. The nice thing about a business model canvas, unlike a traditional business plan that's many, many pages long, you got to read start to finish. Business model canvas is something that you can look at. You can say, okay, obviously I'm spending too much time here because on this project, because either my expenses are too high or my revenue is too low. It's not really meeting the customer's need. Those types of things you can determine pretty quickly by looking through your business model canvas, making that visual representation of what you want to do and how you want to deliver on whatever that is. And so this is one of the tools that we use at the Everything Olds Information and Entrepreneurship Center. We sit down with businesses. We get them to populate these things. And we recognize that when businesses come in, they sometimes come in with rose-colored glasses. Mm-hmm. I have the greatest idea, and it's going to fill, this huge demand in the market. And if I do this, I'm going to, reach all of my goals. But the nice thing about a business model canvas is when you put all that on a page, you can then take it to your customer. You can take it to somebody that you respect and you say, hey, I've done a bunch of work here. I don't want to jade you or give you my opinion. Would you spend a little bit of time and consider these items? So you get your customer to say, this is really what my pains are. This is really where I would go to find that information. This is the type of relationship I'd like. And if a provider could do these three things, I would be committed forever. I'd be willing to pay a certain amount, and these are the activities. And so business model canvas can be used for developing a plan, but it can also be used to review it with potential customers or clients or people that you respect in that planning stage so that you can ensure that you get good, solid feedback to ensure that you're going down the right path to success. And then you have the ability to adjust as you need to. So in a quick and easy fashion, that's a business model canvas. basically 9 building blocks to help a business owner or entrepreneur find success in a visual way, and also providing the information within the building blocks. You're able to create a story in a visual way that makes it easier to pitch or tell your story and resonate with people. So this is a business model canvas, Ashley.
Awesome. Thanks, Mitch. And is there any, does a business model canvas work for everyone? Do you have to be a certain size? Do you have to be a new business, or can this maybe be used for existing businesses wanting to make some changes? How does that work?
Well, so many of us create business plans, and then we go to that point where we're going to do the work, and then we forget all about them. Right? Life gets in the way. So the nice thing about the business model canvas is it does work for small business and startup phase. It does work for existing business. Take a look at your expenses as a business owner, and you say, I thought 20% of my expense was going to be product, 30% was going to be staffing, 20% facility. Just start going through that monthly analysis of your financials, and you realize that, hey, your expenses are out of line. Why are they out of line? Are you doing the things you set out to do? Are you doing them the way you thought you'd like? Do you need to change something about your expenses or something different about your revenue? And so it does work for that startup business, but it's great for the existing business to take a quick look and determine whether they're on track as well.
Okay. And how can businesses or entrepreneurs, if they're interested, access the business model canvas? Do they come in here, or what's the best way for them to do that?
So we teach entrepreneurs every week on this. So we're always talking to people about their goals and setting some objectives to move forward, and then of course reviewing those regularly. So we do this in the office all the time. But the business model canvas was actually created by Strategizer. There's a number of webinars that can be found on this. There is an editable form that we're going to attach to our Facebook Live event here today. So people will have the opportunity to go in and try it themselves. There is a download for the actual book with far more information than we presented in just the last few minutes. So there's lots of resources, and it can be very helpful.
Okay, great. Well, thank you very much, Mitch. For those of you who are interested in the business model canvas and would like to find out more, join us Wednesday for our Facebook Live segment when Mitch will go through the business model canvas using a real-world example, so you can kind of see how this plays out. So thanks for watching.
Thanks for joining us today.